Welcome to a video tutorial about creating your tour of a website. I'll be breaking this video into three parts. First, we'll be looking at some initial considerations. Second, we'll talk about software. And third, we'll talk about some specific things you can do to record the best video possible. So first are some initial considerations. Before any kind of technology is involved, before you start just thinking about what you're going to record and how you're going to record it, the first thing that you should do is put everything down and look at the actual website that you're thinking of creating a tour of and take some notes. Websites are all different, so one of the things that you may have some difficulty with is analyzing different parts of websites and different kind of areas of a website and different media within that website, and then trying to decide how you can reorganize all of that information into something that makes sense to your audience, so your classmates and your instructor. Just listing everything that you see on a website isn't going to work very well because you're going to end up with way too much detail. So first, you'll probably want to sit down with the assignment sheet handy, look over the website, and make sure that you kind of take notes on things that seem important to the assignment sheet. If you're taking really good notes, you should come up with too many things. So when you're done taking notes, you should be able to look at what you have and say, no, this doesn't really work with the assignment sheet, and winnow some of that content down into something that's easily recordable. Depending on the length that you want to make your video, a lot of people tend to say, I don't know how I'm possibly going to be able to record that much content. And then when they start recording, they end up with way too much. And it's because there's a tendency to think it's going to go really quickly, but it doesn't. So you'll want to sit down first and do some planning before you even begin thinking about software or how you're going to record anything. That's going to be probably the hardest part of the assignment, believe it or not. Once you have really good work done in that front end, then you can start to work on deciding how you want to record it and what you want to record, and those parts should go a little bit quicker than that initial planning phase. So second, you want to decide on some recording software. I'm using a recording software that came with my computer at this point in time, but there are literally dozens of these suites available on the internet. Most of them are free. I don't want to recommend any because there are so many, and many of you are probably going to be doing this on different kinds of devices. So depending on if you're doing this on like an iPad or just a regular kind of PC or a Mac product or something on Linux, you're going to need to find a screen capture software that works right for you and works with your operating system. There are tons of these out there, so you should be able to find one with some simple Googling, and there are many that are available for free, so you shouldn't have to pay for them either. The next thing that you should do after you have software and have it installed is watch some YouTube videos. So most, if not all, of these software packages are going to have hundreds of videos showing you how to work these specific pieces of software, because the assignment that you're working on right now, creating a screen capture, is something that a lot of businesses are doing right now. So say if you owned a software company, you would probably want to create some screen capture software and post it on YouTube so that people can learn how to use your software effectively. So you should be able to find lots of that on YouTube that'll tackle some of the basics of how to start recording your screen. Once you've watched some of those videos and kind of have a sense of how the software works, then go into it and start playing around. And practice is going to be a key thing here. You want to look at and experiment with some of the features. So some screen capture software allows you to zoom into particular portions of the screen. Some of it allows you to direct your viewer's attention with a mouse icon that's going to change colors or create like a little pattern effect to allow you to draw specific attention to different parts of the site. You also maybe just want to play around a little bit thinking about how you're actually going to record your video. So now that you have the software and you know what you're going to look at, let's say you're going to be talking about 3 different portions of the website, you want to kind of maybe look over those, look at how your notes mesh with it, and look at how your recording software is actually capturing that information. If it does have a zoom feature, you may want to zoom in to a particular part of the page, and you'll want to practice with that so when you're actually recording, you won't have too much work to do. The last portion is actually recording your tour of the website. So there are a few practical considerations that you want to take into effect. You want to have open on your computer the website that you're looking at. You probably don't want to have Facebook open next to it or any other kind of miscellaneous websites. You probably also don't want to have a bunch of computer software open at the bottom, so you shouldn't be playing a video game and then kind of pausing your video game to haphazardly record this video. Everything that you see on your desktop will be seen by your audience, so you want to make sure that you maintain a somewhat professional looking desktop. You don't want to be showing your background image if it's something inappropriate. Make sure that you're only showing your audience what they need to see. Next, you want to make sure that you're in a quiet environment, especially if you're recording this on a device with a built-in microphone. Built-in microphones don't capture the best sound quality possible, so you want to make sure that you're not capturing like a ceiling fan or your air conditioner or like animals or noises from the street, whatever the case may be. Do a little bit of practicing to make sure that your audio comes out okay. Do it in as quiet place as possible. And then you want to actually run through, and this is something that I see a lot when students are tackling an assignment like this. They want to record it once and then be done with it, and that's probably not the way that it's going to work. In fact, a lot of people think that in order to make this go as quickly as possible, they're just going to record a script and then click on something and then read the script that they've written for that particular section and click on something else. You notice you can move your mouse around quite a bit during one of these, especially when you're trying to direct your audience's attention to a specific area of the website. So what you'll probably want to do is develop something that's a little bit less rigid than a script. So maybe a group of talking points or a group of principles that you want to talk about. So you can actually be looking at the screen while you're talking and directing your audience's attention to different parts of that. You also notice that when you go to record this, you will make some mistakes. That is totally normal and that's totally acceptable. Just as if you were writing an essay, you would probably make tons of mistakes on your first draft. There'd be like periods missing and some sentences would look really weird and some areas just wouldn't make sense. That's totally fine. You're going to see the same types of problems when you're trying to do a screen capture, and that's okay. It's good to leave yourself enough time to practice these kinds of things so you can go back and re-record if you need to. On average, for me, and I make a lot of these, it takes me 2 to 3 times per video in order to get something that sounds like halfway reasonable, even though you can make some small mistakes here and there without having to re-record the whole thing. But make sure that you're not doing this the night before expecting everything to sound perfect on your first run, especially if you haven't done this before. It might take 3 or 4 times of actually just running through and make sure that you have the best recording that you can possibly get. So there's some key kind of initial considerations for you to make one of these tours of a website. There should be plenty of stuff as well. If you get stuck at any point in the process, remember to look to YouTube. There's going to be someone on YouTube that has solved the problem that you're trying to solve. And why try to figure out the same solution when somebody's already done it, right? So use the resources that are available to you in order to make this process as streamlined. And really the key is to spend as much of your time thinking about the content of your piece rather than the kind of specific technical, how do I make it look the way that I want to look? Make sure that you have something worth saying.